Have you ever felt like you're just stuck in a loop? Living out the same story, the same patterns over and over again? Well, for most of my life, that was me. I was completely trapped in a pattern I couldn't even see until this one single idea finally set me free. This was my world. Any little piece of criticism, it didn't matter if it was constructive or tiny, it wasn't just information to me. Oh no, it was a verdict, a judgment. It would just loop in my head for days, this constant hum of, "You're not good enough," proving what I secretly feared most about myself.
And look, this wasn't just a bad week or, a tough month. This went on for 3 decades. This whole cycle of beating myself up, it was just the air I breathed. I honestly thought that's just who I was.
So I was living in a prison. But here's the crazy part. I couldn't see the bars. And that's because the bars weren't made of steel. They were made of my own thoughts, my own feelings. And I believed every single one of them. And then came the first crack of light. This profound realization that the crushing weight of inadequacy I felt all the time, that wasn't reality. It was a lens. It was a filter that was laid over everything, and it distorted everything I saw. But if it was a filter, where did it come from? That one question led me to a pretty startling discovery. Turns out, I wasn't just living my life, I was unknowingly acting out a script written for me a long time ago. And this is the concept that just changed everything for me, the life script. It's basically this unconscious plan we write for ourselves when we're kids just to try and make sense of the world. But as adults, we completely forget we're the authors. We just live out the story, and we mistake these scripted reactions for our own free will. So here's exactly how the script worked in my life. You've got a totally neutral event, right? Like getting some feedback on a project. That's just data. But my script, it would instantly translate that data into this huge dramatic story. I am a failure. I was constantly reacting to the story, not to what was actually happening. Discovering my life script, it felt like I'd found this hidden operating system that had been running my entire life on autopilot. All of a sudden, I could see the code behind my choices, my relationships, everything. And for the very first time, I realized I could actually rewrite. So how do you do that? How do you go from being a character in the story to being the author? Well, it all starts by building something called adult awareness. And believe it or not, there's a practical, step-by-step way to actually do it. This 5-step process basically became my toolkit for freedom. It started with my body. I'd feel that familiar tightness in my throat. That was step 1, just noticing the signal. Then, instead of spiraling down, I'd name it. I'd say, okay, there's my not good enough story. And that simple act created distance. Now, step 3, this was the game changer. Just pause, even for 10 seconds. That tiny little gap was just enough space to ask, okay, what's actually happening here? And then, finally, to consciously choose how to respond, instead of just letting the script choose for me. Now, this wasn't a one-time fix. Not at all. It was more like a daily workout. I had to build this new awareness like a muscle through these small, consistent practices, from a little 5-minute check-in in the morning to breaking down tough conversations after they happened. All these little actions slowly rewired my brain, making this new way of thinking my new default. But I have to be honest, this journey is never a straight line. There were definitely times, especially when I was stressed, when the old programming would come roaring back. And you know what? That's not failure. It's a completely normal part of the process. My friend Amit learned this the hard way when his business hit a rough patch. After a whole year of making amazing progress, his old script, the one that told him don't succeed, just took over. He felt doomed, just like he used to. It actually took him a week to realize, wait a minute, this feeling isn't reality. It's my old script, and it's just being activated by stress. So how do you handle these setbacks? Well, you start by expecting them, and you have to be compassionate with yourself when they happen. But the real shift, it comes when you just notice that you noticed. I mean, the very act of catching yourself, even if it's days later, is proof that your awareness is growing. And that, right there, is a huge win. Over time, with a lot of practice and self-compassion, the setbacks started to happen less and less. The moments of conscious choice became my new normal. I wasn't just breaking a script anymore. I was finally writing and living my own story. So what does life look like on the other side? It's not perfect, but it is real. I can actually enjoy my accomplishments now, which is huge. My relationships are more honest, more intimate, and that constant nagging feeling of inadequacy, it's been replaced by this quiet sense of just being. I feel like I'm finally living my life, not just performing a role.
Not long ago, I was talking with some friends who had all been on this same journey, and my friend Amit said something that it stopped me in my tracks. He realized that this work we were doing, it wasn't just for us. It was about breaking a chain of generational patterns. There were 4 of us sitting around this little table, and every single one of us had fought our way out of our own invisible prisons. The feeling in that moment it's hard to describe. It was this shared understanding of the battle and the kind of peace that comes after. And then our friend Mira, she raised her cup and she said this, and it captured everything. We weren't just healing ourselves. We were healing a lineage. We were creating a new legacy of freedom for the people who would come after us. Ultimately, this is the truth I discovered. The prison is psychological. The script can be unlearned, and the chains are really just an illusion. In every single moment, you have a choice. You can run the old program, or you can pause, connect with your adult self, and choose a new response. The choice is always, always yours.